Welcome to the 2023 Leadership Louisville Luncheon, powered by LG&E and KU Energy. Please welcome to the stage Kimberly Hallbauer, Regional President, Kentucky, from Fifth Third Bank and board member for the Leadership Louisville Center.
Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to the 2023 Leadership Louisville Luncheon. What a way to get started today. So if everyone can take their seats, we are going to celebrate. Look at this crowd. This is our largest crowd ever. So how about that? Cheers for the largest crowd. Fifth Third Bank is proud to be a platinum sponsor of this event. And our theme this year, Leave Hungry, is designed to create hunger to be more engaged and excited about positive change for our future. So let's get ready. Be prepared to leave hungry, but we don't want you to be hungry for lunch, so let's go ahead and get started and eat. For those of you who are new to this center, since 1979, the Leadership Louisville Center has over 15,000 graduates from their programs. And there are strong leaders out there changing the world and making our community a better place. Today we gather, many of us who are alumni, that are reconnecting with former classmates. Raise your hand if you're an alum of a Leadership Louisville program. Look at that, way to go. There's a special connection that happens when you come together to have challenging, honest, and exciting conversations on how to make a difference. I know that I certainly felt that way as a graduate of the Leadership Louisville class of 2023. In fact, I think historically at this luncheon, there's been a challenge for the alums to gather with their classmates and come together to earn the bragging rights of the best class ever. I'm excited that this year, the largest gathering of alums is the class of 2023. Woohoo! That's the best class ever. Last year at this luncheon, we launched the Alice Houston Women's Leadership Program, designed to empower women to move into higher positions of influence. And what an amazing success it was. It wouldn't have happened without your generosity. Through your giving, we were able to offer 25% of the class tuition assistance so that everyone in our community had the opportunity to participate. Please join me in celebrating the great women you see on the screen from Class 1 and to you, our donors, who made this happen. Thank you. Your gifts truly make a difference, and I'm proud as a board member that we gave $100,000 last year in tuition assistance across all of our programs, which helps us foster the spirit of inclusion, diversity, and the opportunity for some of our nonprofits pictured here on the screen to participate in programs. Your support makes things happen. Every dollar contributed to Leadership Louisville Center creates a hunger to want to do more, to want to give more. Let's all be hungry. Hunger for change, hunger for a difference, and hungry to make an impact in the future leaders in our community. Here's your chance to put hunger into action. All right, first, everybody take out their phone. All right, come on, everybody, phones up in the air, let's go. This is an event where we're asking you to take your phone out, not put it away. Okay, next thing, take your phone, take a picture of someone next to you, someone at the table, someone around you, get a little picture. Come on, we need like selfie time here. I'll do it. I'll take a picture of all of us. All right, I love it. Okay, we've got pictures, we've got photos. Make it happen. Now, all right, some of us are better at this than others, but there's a hashtag. So for anyone under the age of 50, then you go to the hashtag LLL2023 and post the photo and tell us what makes you hungry today. If you are over the age of 50, lean over to the person that's under the age of 50 and ask them how to get that done. All right. Second, keep those phones out. Let's go with the phones. On the front of your programs and on the screen, there is a QR code which we are going to ask you to scan to help this keep going. Your generosity makes all of this possible. So we're asking you today to consider a donation to the Leadership Louisville Center. There's no amount that's too small, and there's no amount that's too big. So please make sure that you make the donation today. Maybe there could be a challenge between our two cities. Maybe we could see which city really is bigger and which mayor makes the larger contribution. Who is the biggest city? If you are willing to make a donation today, Fifth Third Bank has generously offered a $5,000 match to anyone willing to make a contribution to the Leadership Louisville Center today. So I look forward to watching your contributions continue throughout our program and continuing this great effort that allows all of us to come together. So please enjoy your lunch and make your donation.
Please welcome to the stage Victoria Russell, Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer of Beam Suntory and Chair of the Board of Directors for the Leadership Louisville Center.
That is my song, if you know me. Hello and welcome back. It is always fun being the first one to go after lunch. So you don't really get to eat, so I will be leaving hungry. It's wonderful to see everyone, but I want to take a moment to shout out the best Leadership Louisville class of 2020, if you're in the house. We also have the hashtag of the longest class ever as we went through the pandemic together. So I love you guys dearly. If you are in this room and have not gone through one of the Leadership Louisville Center programs, you need to sign up today because you are missing out on an incredible experiences and relationships that have contributed so much to me personally and professionally. I am here today to represent the Leadership Louisville Center as the current board chair and want to recognize my fellow board members, especially our past board chair, Jennifer Hancock, the president and CEO of Volunteers of America Mid-States. Could all of the past board members please stand so we can applaud your contributions to the organization? It has been a pleasure working with you, and it's my honor to serve you as chair this year. The Leadership Louisville Center celebrates all of those who raise their hands to serve. And I know we have several elected officials and candidates for office who are joining us today. We applaud you for representing us, especially now when it is so critical to make a positive change in our reality. We invite all of our elected officials and candidates for office to stand so we can give you a round of applause. Thank you for your service to our community. During Kim's opening remarks, you heard a few highlights of the center's impact on people and the community last year. When I joined the board in 2019, we put together a bold and ambitious strategic plan with Cynthia and the team. It included big goals around equipping more people to lead with confidence and courage and fostering connections that strengthen the social fabric of our community. Despite big challenges, like a pandemic, we've not only moved significant goals forward, but have adapted and grown to respond to the needs of businesses and our community. I am also very, very passionate, as you know, and have dedicated my professional life to diversity, equity, and inclusion work. That's one of the things that I've been most inspired by my time with the Center's board. We are all often geographically and socially segregated in our lives and careers. The Center's ability to bring diverse groups together has real impact. They bring people together who don't always have the opportunity to mix. In these rooms, participants learn to understand each other better and communicate across differences. This creates a more equitable and inclusive community where everyone feels they belong. The Center's strategic plan ensures this work will go even further. A new focus area for the Center is working through employee resource groups. This has resulted in the creation of the Inclusion Council to provide a connection point for leaders in this space. With the help of the Inclusion Council, the Leadership Louisville Center has launched the Leadership Accelerator program to provide a foundational leadership training for people who bring all types of diversity to the table. The next cohort is coming soon, so if your company engages employee resource groups, ERGs, EIGs, BRGs, NRGs, OGs, may you take advantage of the support that is offered through the Center. In every organization I've worked for in this community, we've sent individuals to programs and courses offered by the Center. More recently, my teams have brought the Center's Leading Better curriculum into the organization to build the skills of more people than just a few participants. We've also used virtual programming and events like the Summit so our associates from other markets can also benefit. As someone who has worked in the HR and talent development space, I know we have better managers and higher performing teams as a result of our engagement with the Leadership Louisville Center. On behalf of the board, I want to thank all of those businesses who are investing in their people and in DEI initiatives through the Leadership Louisville Center. I will echo what Kim said. Your investment has a positive ripple effect in our community, and I know our businesses are stronger as a result. Okay, so we've got a lot of exciting things to come. I will wrap up by thanking all of our sponsors who are here supporting this event and the Leadership Louisville Center. I'm gonna do something a little different. I have 35 sponsors to thank because of your generosity, and I would love us to applaud for every single one. I'm just kidding. Please hold your applause till the end. I'm gonna start with our presenting sponsor, LG&E and the KU Foundation. Thank you to our platinum sponsors, Fifth Third Bank and T. Bain & Co. Thank you to our gold sponsors, Beam Suntory, and my favorite competitor, Brown-Forman Corporation, the Kentucky Lottery, Kentucky Venues, and Louisville Public Media. Thank you to all of our silver sponsors, Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield, Bright Spring Health Services, Doe Anderson, Farm Credit Mid-America, Louisville Business First, Tandem Public Relations, and University of Louisville. We can pause for some applause to all of those sponsors. This is our largest crowd ever for this event, as well as the longest list of bronze sponsors. Thank you all for indulging us as we recognize all of them. Advanced Business Solutions, AJS Hotels, Caesars, CBRE, Cherry Beckart, Confluent Health, Denton's, Extel, Forvis, Frost Brown Todd, Gallapalooza 2024 presented by Churchill Downs, GE Appliances, a hire company, Independence Bank, JP Morgan Chase, LDG Development, Messer Construction, MPI Printing, Passport by Molina Healthcare, PwC, Texas Roadhouse, and last but not least, Volunteers of America Mid-States. Again, thank you for your support, as well as our table sponsors. Thank you so much. It has been an honor to kick off today's program. I now invite the President and CEO of Leadership Louisville Center, Cynthia Napek, to the stage to get the show started.
In touch with the ground, I'm on the hunt, I'm after you. Center the sound, I'm lost and I'm found, and I'm hungry like the wolf. Start on the line, it's discord and rhyme, I howl and I whine, I'm after you. Mouth is alive, I'm running inside.
They're gonna let me jam up here for a little while.
I do like a good 80s jam, it is true. And I do love that this is such a great festival city For those of you that have your Bourbon and Beyond tickets, you will get to also rock out to a little Duran Duran in a few short weeks. Woo, yes. By the way, any of y'all fancy sponsors, if you could slide me some backstage passes, then I might finally get to meet Simon LeBon and have him sign that ginormous locker print that I had hanging up throughout high school. Be super exciting. Totally rad. Okay, so maybe you're not quite hungry like the wolf, but we do hope that you are hungry. When we chose the theme for this year's luncheon, we wanted it to be a call to action. So how many of you, when the last time you had a really important role, you said something like, I really want to hire someone in this role who's hungry? And the thing is, we all know what that means. It means we want someone who sees the potential and is willing to do whatever it takes to activate that opportunity. Think of Leadership Louisville as the chief recruitment agency for community leadership roles, and we also want to hire someone who is hungry. So let's talk for a minute about community leadership. I want you to do me a favor. If you work for a nonprofit organization who is striving to elevate this community, I want you to stand for a minute. Yep. So now, actually stay standing, stay with me. Let's add board members. If you serve as a board member for an amazing nonprofit in this community, let's add our government leaders too. Yep, absolutely. So stand for just a minute, because I want you all to look around. These are the people who show up for our community. These are the people who are hungry. These are the people who do good things. And I want all of you all that are standing, I want you all to feel that love for just a minute. And if you've ever heard that whole thing about, 80% of success is just showing up, then I could say, yay, congratulations, right? Let's pat each other on the back. Good, awesome. Unfortunately, this is not one of those events where we get to do that. We can't mark this off. We can't just say, let's check it off the box. Let's check that box off. This is actually something that we need to lean into a little bit more. So we need to show up at our next board meeting, at our next planning meeting. And you all can sit down now. I'll give you a break. And as a leader and as a board member, all those of you that were standing, I want you to ask yourself at this very important moment, the next time you walk into that room to serve, I want you to ask yourself, how can I show up hungry? How can I do that? Because for this city at this moment, that's what it's going to take for us to succeed. And I know we have it in us. I'm excited by this room. I love being here in this room. This is a celebration of all you amazing people, and we're so glad to be able to get to do this with you. Now, if you were not standing and you're looking for a place to show up hungry, we can point you in the direction of the buffet line. Our Ignite Louisville program for young professionals and our Encore program for baby boomers are exemplars of leadership in action. They work on about 30 different nonprofit projects each year, and for those who are ready for something that will truly challenge the best of your abilities, maybe this is your year to be a Bingham Fellow. We created Bingham Fellows in 1988 as a social innovation accelerator. It's a best practice in how to bring different backgrounds, opinions, and cultures together under the same tent, to learn how we can disagree passionately and then leverage that diversity to actually find better ways to architect our shared success. For over 30 years, this class has prepared community leaders to act both wisely and courageously to be part of the rising tide that lifts all ships. Every year, we choose a topic that is mission critical to our success as a community. The current class is focused on building a future-ready workforce. The topic for the Bingham Fellows Class of 2024 will be Safer City, creating a thriving city for all. There is no shared goal that is more imperative than public safety. And now is the time to amplify the momentum to address this persistent challenge and make Louisville a safe and vibrant city. We need business leaders and creative thinkers to be part of this class. So the action item for you today is to visit the Leadership Louisville website, where you can figure out how to apply. And also, you can nominate other people who you think need to be part of this class. For more than 4 decades, the Leadership Louisville Center has been rallying people to get out of their comfort zone and do something important, do something meaningful. And as we have tried to figure out how to get people to leap those tall buildings in a single bound, there is one truth that we have found, and it is this: you just cannot do epic stuff with basic people. But, here's the other truth. It's equivalently valid, and it is actually even more important. With a growth mindset, each of us can be on the path to becoming our most epic self. For those of you that were here last year, we launched our new partner brand, Leading Better. Leading Better is where you will find our skills-based workshop and our leadership summit. All of the offerings that are designed to help individuals and organizations lead better. As Victoria shared earlier, today's most successful companies are paying more attention to the importance of training up the next generation of leaders. And I'm really, really excited about that particular trend. So let me tell you why. I was reading some recent information from Zenger Folkman. So Zenger Folkman is one of the thought leaders we like. They do a lot of research. They do a kind of workplace motivation and how do we collaborate. So the last round of research from Zenger Folkman had some eye-opening data in it. First piece of data was this: average age for your first promotion into a supervisory role is about 27. This is not surprising, right? This kind of tracks. Here's the surprising piece of information that was also in that research. The average age for the first investment in leadership development training is, wait for it, I should do a guess, like we should have done like one of those Mentimeter guess things. It's 46. So let that nearly 20-year gap sink in for a minute, because basically what we've done is we promote a whole bunch of people and we said, hey, good luck. Hope this works out, right? We waste almost 20 years of elevating human potential. We're running a Hunger Games survival gauntlet to get to that executive level instead of creating a well-marked path. Think too for a minute about the equity impact that this approach has had on our leadership pipelines. So instead of just wishing that the odds be ever in your favor, we created Leading Better to mark the path. We created it to help more leaders reach their potential and to get there faster. The world of work used to allow us years of mentorship and on-the-job learning, but the pace of business today means that if I promote you right now, I need you ready to rock the next morning. So we need human capital to level up at an accelerated pace. We created Leading Better to help organizations thrive because organizations don't have ideas. People have ideas, and you need those people, those innovators, to stay and help your organizations grow. And last but not least, we created Leading Better as a social enterprise. You could hire any training company in the world. I mean, it would be a terrible idea. You shouldn't do that. And of course, you would be dead to me. But you could do that. But none of them would bring the added value of having all the proceeds reinvested in the elevation of this community. We think leadership development is a force for good in the world. And we think our approach to this right here in Louisville is world class. Actually, did I say that we think it's world class? Because what I meant to say is we know it's world class and we have the data to prove it. Our focus program graduates about 200 leaders every year and is currently ringing the bell with an unheard of net promoter score of 100. It's spectacular. Through workshops and trainings and events, Leadership Louisville touches over 3,000 people every year, and more than 400 of them get to experience the depth and transformative experience provided in our civic leadership programs. Those numbers mean that we graduate more civic leaders than any other program in the country, which is awesome. Yes. It is great. However, if we were truly hungry to elevate belonging and to drive change, then we need thousands to go through community leadership programs. And as we strive to solve 21st century problems, elevated civic engagement is more important now than ever before. We need epic leaders who are skilled in communication and collaboration. So those of you who contributed to scholarship already today or earlier this year are growing that opportunity for others, and I want to thank you for that. I also want to thank Kim and Fifth Third for introducing that ask earlier today. We certainly hope you spend all of your $5,000, so we definitely want to encourage all of you all to continue making a scholarship gift today. Operators are, in fact, standing by, and there is a semi-fabulous prize awaiting all donors when you leave today. So I know you want to collect that. I know you want to make an investment in someone else so that we have fantastic community leaders. And we are really, really lucky to have lots of great investors. As Victoria was calling out all the wonderful list of you all here in this room, we thank you for that. We truly do. And we are lucky to have a lot of great partners and friends. In particular, the LG&E and KU Energy has been just a really spectacular friend to the Leadership Louisville Center. They really are a great investor, and I want to celebrate them for just a minute. So the folks at LG&E and KU Energy, they have just set an exemplary record with the Leadership Louisville Center. They're one of our very best corporate citizens. They annually send candidates through all of our programs, and they view their involvement in Leadership Louisville as a pipeline to how they can attract and maintain top talent, both within their company and for this region. It's critical to keeping us a top city with an excellent quality of life. LG&E is committed to helping not only the Leadership Louisville Center, but communities they serve across Kentucky. Their employees are quick to roll up their sleeves and volunteer countless hours in the communities they live and work. Combined, the LG&E and KU Foundation employees and the company donated more than $7 million annually to nonprofits throughout Kentucky and West Virginia. Yep. They serve on more than 150 community boards throughout Kentucky, including the Leadership Louisville Center. Thank you, Greg. LG&E and KU President John Crockett also has served on our board before and continues to be a friend of the Leadership Louisville Center. Will you please help me welcome my friend, John Crockett, president of LG&E and KU Energy.
I was a baseball player about 1 million years ago before walk-up music, and I will never get used to walk-up music, I can promise you. Cynthia, thank you so much for your kind words about our company, which I'm so proud of. My teammates here from LG&E and KU join me in welcoming all of you. We are so proud to sponsor this event. It's one of my favorite events of the year, one of our favorite events. And Cynthia, thanks to you and the Leadership Louisville team for bringing us all together to connect in such important ways. It's a great crowd. Gives me particularly great pleasure to be able to introduce our new mayor, still new enough to the job. I've known Craig Greenberg since our days together at Frost Brown Todd. He has always been passionate about making our community a better place to be, about developing opportunities for us to develop economically here in Louisville and the region, whether that be his days as a lawyer at Frost Brown Todd, his early work with Museum Plaza, his later work with 21C, and now devoting his time and attention to helping us thrive here in this community. Mayor, we look forward to working with you to help improve our region. We've got plenty of challenges, but we've got a lot of opportunities, and you're the guy to lead us through them. In this past year alone, we at LG&E and KU are proud to have worked with the state and local officials to help attract more than 100,000 jobs to the Commonwealth of Kentucky. So for all of you involved in that, thank you. Thank you very much. Through our Opportunity Kentucky Grants program, we've also awarded $1.7 million in matching grants for site improvements so that when business and industry are looking for a place to go, we have sites ready to attract them and accept them. So, Mayor, we know that you will continue to be as transparent in your work as our mayor as you were at the board at the university. We thank you for that, and of course, we encourage you when times get tough to call upon your experiences as the owner of Ohio Valley Wrestling to get the job done. So, welcome, Mayor Craig Greenberg.
Thank you, John. That was great. OVW for sure. Thanks, John, for not just for you, but for all of your teams at LG&E and KU for everything you do to not just keep the power on in our city, but also for giving back and doing everything that you do every day for our city. And to Cynthia, to you and your entire team at Leadership Louisville, what an amazing event. It is wonderful to see this event not just back to full strength, but beyond. And the energy in this room is absolutely amazing. What you all have been doing to encourage civic engagement for over 40 years is unparalleled in our city, and thank you so much. I'm a proud alum of both Leadership Louisville and Bingham Fellows. And I know that as we saw earlier, so many of you all are in this room as well. And what I got from those experiences is similar to what I hope all of you can look forward to today and in the coming days. A sense of energy, a sense of hope, a sense of optimism, and a reminder by seeing the crowd here today that there are so many friends and allies and role models throughout our city and beyond who are ready to help us create great things for Louisville, because that's what our city deserves. That's why I ran for mayor. That's why Leadership Louisville exists, and that's why I know all of you are here today, because we love our hometown, and the way that we show that love is through action, by trying to make something happen, by working with people across our city and beyond to create transformation. And in Louisville, we've shown that we can do that over and over and over again. Think about it. Waterfront Park, Nulu, the Parklands, the soccer stadium, the Yum Center, the track at 30th and Ali, the Botanical Gardens, the hospital and Opportunity Campus that are going up right now at 28th and Broadway, Whiskey Row, Bourbon, this building, tourism attractions across our entire city that are bringing more and more people to Louisville than ever before. And that's just a short list. There is so much more. So now, it's time to take the energy and the partnerships that created all of these transformations and turn them to the challenges and opportunities that are in front of us right now. It's time to make our city safer by taking on the root causes of crime so we can divert more of our young people from the path that leads to tragedy and instead put them on the path to hope and opportunity. It's time to rebuild and revitalize downtown Louisville. It's time to seriously address the related causes of homelessness and affordable housing. It's time to become a national leader in sustainability. It's time to build an economy that will attract and keep talented people in our city and create opportunity for people all across our city in every zip code. It's time to make high-quality pre-K education a reality for every 3- and 4-year-old child in our city. And it's time to enlist the support of our, yes, that is definitely worthy of applause, universal pre-K. And it's time to enlist the support of our friends in the Kentucky State Legislature to invest more in transformational projects like I just listed in our state, in our city, and to help us do what it takes to end the epidemic of gun violence that is still plaguing our city. All of that work and more is ahead of us, and I know that together we can absolutely begin to accomplish those goals. And our keynote speaker today offers a valuable perspective on how we take on some of these giant challenges. He's a leader who knows what it takes for a city to make progress in some of these key areas. Aftab Pureval is the 70th mayor of Cincinnati. He grew up in Southwest Ohio. He's the son of first-generation Americans. He'll share his own personal story with us in a moment. But I wanted you to hear from him today because of what Cincinnati has done in recent years. They've completely revitalized their downtown. They have a pre-K program that could serve as a model for our city. And Mayor Pureval is focusing on equitable economic growth. He's also leading reform efforts in zoning, public safety, affordable housing, and sustainability. And he has a unique and authentic style of leadership. He leads with humor and humanity and relentless positivity. So in honor of that spirit that Mayor Pureval has, I didn't want to read you his entire bio. Instead, I'm going to let him introduce himself to you from a campaign ad when he was running for the Hamilton County Clerk of Courts in 2016.
I'm Aftab Pureval.
Aftab.
I graduated from the UC College of Law, served as a federal prosecutor bringing criminals to justice. Now I'm an attorney with Procter & Gamble.
Aftab.
We need a clerk of courts with a legal background, not just another career politician.
Aftab. Aftab.
I'll modernize our courthouse, reduce costs, and advocate for a full-time housing court to crack down on slumlords.
Aftab. Aftab. Aftab.
Pureval for the Hamilton County Clerk of Courts.
Mayor Pureval, of course, won that race and has earned his reputation as an outstanding mayor and civic leader. He and his wife, Whitney, are the proud parents of 2 young sons, and he's also become a very good friend of mine. Please join me in welcoming to Louisville, Mayor Aftab Pureval.
What's up, Louisville? How we doing? Let's go. This is a lot of people. Here we go. I said it right. Louisville. This kind of falls out of your mouth. I'm so honored to be here. This is my 3rd time in Louisville now that I've been mayor. And I'm just so grateful for the introduction and the invitation by your extraordinary mayor, Mayor Greenberg. Let's give him a round of applause. Mayor Greenberg is known as one of the rising stars in the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Obviously, the city of Louisville has a proud tradition of partnership with the U.S. Conference of Mayors. And without question, a lot of the biggest and most successful mayors really have their eye on Mayor Greenberg because he's one of the best dressed mayors in the entire country. So well done, looking good. But this is my 3rd time. So the first time, Mayor Greenberg invited me to speak at your incredible HBCU, Simmons College here in Louisville. I'm so jealous you have an HBCU, a very long-standing HBCU, I think founded in the late 1800s. The fact that you have a HBCU that is educating the future black leaders of not just your city, but your country, our country, is an incredible resource and talent. And I'm just so impressed by it and so jealous, frankly. The second time I was here was for the Kentucky Derby, which I'm very, very jealous of as well. The fact that you get every year a national Super Bowl to invest in your city and enjoy the economic benefits, particularly in this post-pandemic economy, is an incredible resource, an incredible asset, and please invite me back next year. This past year I got to meet Jack Harlow, which was a big deal for me. I'm sure you guys are like, big deal. But anyway, so this is my third time in this beautiful convention center, and I'm jealous of this as well because we are trying to rehabilitate our very, very old convention. It's like a dinosaur. It's awful. So this is incredible that you're able to invest in these resources. So thank you. A lot of you probably don't know me, so let me introduce myself. I'll tell you a little bit about my background, and then we'll get into the meat of the conversation. But my story really starts with my parents. I'm the son of a refugee. My mom was born in Tibet, and as a baby, when the communists took over, my grandparents and my mother picked up, made their way through the Himalayas, through Nepal, and into India, where she grew up in a refugee camp in southern India. Against all odds, she got an education. She made it to college, where she met my father, who is from Punjab, India. The young couple got married, and they decided to come to the New World. They decided to come to the United States. So my dad, who was a little bit crazy, looked at a map of our great country, and from sea to shining sea, from New York to California, this man literally could have gone anywhere. And he chose Beaver Creek, Ohio. No idea what he was thinking. My parents immigrated here in 1980. My brother and I came along a couple years later, went to public schools, then to Ohio State. I attended the University of Cincinnati College of Law for my law degree. And shortly after graduating, I moved to Washington, D.C., where I was an antitrust litigator for the Office of White and Case, defending multinational corporations from criminal conspiracy price-fixing claims and monopolistic actions. You know, God's work. So I did that for 4 years and I got homesick. I decided to come back to Cincinnati, and I came back to serve as a special assistant United States attorney in the Southern District of Ohio, prosecuting primarily crimes against kids and white-collar crimes. And I really was not sure I was going to stay in Cincinnati, frankly. I moved back in 2012, and I moved back with an exit plan already in hand. I had been accepted a year early to work for a federal judge in the Southern District of Florida, in Miami, Florida. And so I went to the special assistant's office for a year, and my plan was then to jump down to Miami. But during my time at the U.S. Attorney's Office, I joined a Cincinnati leadership program very similar to Leadership Louisville called Sea Change for younger professionals. And it transformed my entire career, and it transformed my life. Because not only did that leadership development program give me the tools and skills in order to have a career and build a career and have it be successful, but most importantly, probably, it gave me a social network. All of my friends in Cincinnati were all lawyers. So my life was terrible, right? I mean, I love you guys, I love us. But Sea Change introduced me to teachers and to doctors and to finance folks. It gave me a broad swath of the various professionals in our community, and really opened up my eyes to the incredible opportunities and promise of Cincinnati. So without a job, I declined my job in the Southern District of Florida, and I stayed in Cincinnati. The leadership program made me stay in Cincinnati. That's why these leadership programs are so incredibly important, because cities our size are competing to the death for talent. And the cities that can recruit and retain young, diverse talent, particularly retain them, are the cities that are not just going to win the next 4 or 8 years, but are the cities that are going to grow and grow in perpetuity. And that certainly was true for me and my experience in the leadership programs at the Cincinnati Chamber. Thankfully, I did get a job. I decided to stay in Cincinnati, and I got a job at Procter & Gamble. I was the global brand attorney for Oil of Olay, P&G skincare company, which made me a beauty attorney, which is ridiculous. But I did that job for 3 years, and then I decided to run for office. And as you saw in the campaign ad, I didn't decide to run for mayor or Congress or city council. I decided to run for the Hamilton County Clerk of Courts. And when I would tell people, I want to run for the Clerk of Courts, they would say, what is wrong with you? Are you crazy? You're going to run for an office no one has ever heard of or cares about against a 2-term Republican incumbent that can't be beaten in conservative Hamilton County? Oh, by the way, you're a brown dude named Aftab. That's not a strong ballot name in Cincinnati. Probably not in Louisville either. And to do all this, you have to leave your job at P&G? What is wrong with you? And that was just my mom. She still really hopes I make it to med school. Brown people in the room know what I'm talking about. Sanjay Gupta really screwed us. Anyway, I ran anyway, and in addition to people thinking I had no chance, the people who thought, okay, fine, we've got a Democrat, a sacrificial lamb in the race, they were trying to give me some help, right? So the Democrats would tell me, these are Dems. Hey, Aftab, we like you, but you really should consider changing your name, right? To Adam or to Al, make white people comfortable. Just kidding, guys. Little racial humor. Okay. Sorry, Mayor. Okay, so bringing it back. They were like, anglicize your name, make it easier on people. And look, in hindsight, I know that sounds terrible, but they were just trying to be helpful, right? And they weren't wrong. When you see AFTAB on a yard sign, it doesn't immediately occur to you that that's a human being, right? Maybe it's a prescription or an acronym or an insurance company, right? So I had a decision to make. Do I run as my authentic self, or do I try to change my identity in order to fit into some preconceived notion? And instead of running away from a perceived political problem, I decided to hang a lantern on it. So you saw the end product. Every time I said my name, first of all, I raised enough money to get on TV for a Hamilton County Clerk of Courts race. So that was very difficult. But when I got on TV, I thought, okay, I really need to stand out. So every time I said my name, a big yellow duck puppet popped up and repeated it in the Aflac voice. So not dignified, but incredibly memorable and effective. And the lesson I learned there was, instead of running away from a perceived weakness, hanging a lantern on it and making it the strength of my race ended up being very successful. And at the end of the day, I won. And by winning, I became the first Democrat in 100 years to be elected to the Hamilton County Clerk of Courts. So thank you. So I know what you're thinking. Clerk of Courts, big deal, right? Sounds like dog catcher. But before you look your nose down on the Hamilton County Clerk of Courts, consider this. Before our 9th president, William Henry Harrison, could be inaugurated into the Oval Office, he had to step down, true story, had to step down as the Hamilton County Clerk of Courts. That's right. Clerk of Courts is a springboard right to the presidency. The story didn't really end up that well for President Harrison. So during the campaign, he was attacked for being too old and too dumb. May sound familiar. Anyway, but he won, and so to prove his haters wrong, he decided for his inaugural address, to give a very long speech to show that he was erudite and learned, and he gave it without a top coat to show that he was young and virile and strong. And 2 weeks later, he died of pneumonia. But springboard right to the Oval Office. Anyway, so I spent 5 years as the Hamilton County Clerk of Courts, really proud of my record. And then in 2021, I decided to run for mayor. Now, to give you some context about what was going on in Cincinnati in 2021, unfortunately, we had 4 council members indicted, 3 of which were indicted for federal corruption. At the same time, the pandemic was raging, and City Hall was really kind of a train wreck. And when people approached me to run for mayor, I said, no way. Absolutely not. I want nothing to do with that toxic building. And one of my mentors came to me and said, a former mayor of Cincinnati, and said, look, the community needs someone to run, and needs someone to run who can consolidate support and, most importantly, govern in a way that moves our city past this really dark chapter. And I was scared, right? I had an extraordinary amount of anxiety about being mayor. Because, and no shade, but when you run for a legislative position, there's like 400 other people that you're working with, right? And your job as a legislator is to build coalitions and pass legislation that you think will move your community forward. But when you're mayor, nothing is not your fault. Nothing is not your responsibility. It's an incredibly intimidating job because it is a real job. When the snow falls or when gun violence rings out, people don't expect the mayor to hold a hearing or give a speech. People expect the mayor to plow the damn streets, pick up the trash, get violence under control. They expect results. They don't expect rhetoric. Incredibly intimidating job, incredibly meaningful job. But it's often true for people of color and for women, they have to be asked to run for something, and that's true for me. The mayor was persistent, and ultimately I decided to jump into the race. And we were ultimately successful, but we walked into extraordinary challenges. The first challenge that we walked into was a budget challenge. In Cincinnati, our city government is $1.5 billion in total. A portion of it is our capital budget. A portion of it is our general fund budget. The general fund funds basically all the city services. Our general fund budget is $30 million in deficit year over year. Our capital budget is $400 million in deficit, and that number is growing. We also walked into a completely changed environment for our economy. In Ohio, a majority of our general fund that funds our basic services, a majority of that budget is created from earnings tax. But because of remote work, so many people are working from home outside of the city, and all of that time, all of that earnings tax money goes to their local municipality. So just this last year, Cincinnati lost $10 million in earnings tax income revenue because of remote work. The challenges for our downtown, because of remote work, so many of our downtown businesses, particularly during the day, are struggling because there's not as much foot traffic. Lunch places, coffee places, small business owners downtown, because there's not as much density, are really struggling. And on top of that, because there's not as much density, crime is allowed to flourish. These are challenges that we walked into that are affecting Cincinnati. These are challenges that are affecting Louisville and all cities around the country. But with a crisis, there's an opportunity. And I see the opportunity as this. We are right now living through history. Right now, in this moment, in real time, we are living through a massive paradigm shift. That paradigm shift has been accelerated by the pandemic and remote work. It's been accelerated by the devastating impact of climate change that we're seeing in headline after headline around the country this past summer. And it's being impacted by the murder of George Floyd and the racial reckoning that all cities are going through right now. That crossroads, that paradigm shift is profound. And I am convinced that the cities in this moment that are innovative, that are risk tolerant, that are flexible and quick on their feet, will put their city in a position to be successful over the next generation. There's a huge opportunity here for cities like Louisville and Cincinnati to be the very future of this country. What do I mean by that? Because of all of those factors that I just listed, I'm convinced in the next 25, 50 years, there's going to be a massive inward migration. Climate change is having a devastating impact, particularly on the coast, and that will create a cost of living increase and an insurance problem, frankly, that Florida's already facing, that are going to make people move inward. That's not just rhetoric. Intel is building the largest semiconductor plant in the country, $200 billion investment just 2 hours north of Cincinnati. And two of the main reasons they're choosing that location is, number one, access to fresh water, the Great Lakes to the north and the Ohio River to the south. And number two, our region's relative climate resiliency. We're not seeing the wildfires and the droughts and the hurricanes and the earthquakes and the tornadoes that other parts of the country are facing. So these climate migrants are coming. We have a decision to make now for the investments that we want to make in order to be the landing spot for climate migrants and remote workers. If you can live and work anywhere, the opportunity is, I want you to choose Cincinnati. I want to create a city of dense, diverse, walkable neighborhoods with good public transportation that are safe, that invest in public art. That's what talent is looking for. And that's the opportunity that we have, particularly with the trillions of dollars available at the federal government, to create the future that we want right now. So in Cincinnati, to ensure that our downtown is as vibrant as possible, we are turning non-Class A office space into housing, to turn our downtown neighborhoods, or downtown, into an actual neighborhood. We're investing billions of dollars to create civic spaces downtown, including putting caps on a highway that will create 10 acres of developable land right in the heart of our downtown to create a central park and increase economic development around that area. We're also thinking proactively about how we can take city lots that we own, rezone them for the best possible use, do the community engagement on the front end, and then hand these parcels over to developers to develop them more quickly. With the macroeconomic factors facing the country and interest rates going up and up, deal flow is really getting constricted right now. So cities have to be on their front foot, be proactive in order to encourage economic development, and that's what we're trying to do in Cincinnati. But none of that matters unless we are safe. Cincinnati, like so many other cities around the country, are seeing devastating impacts of gun violence. Our teen gun violence is out of control. It's skyrocketed. It is a massive challenge for us. So many of the victims of gun violence in Cincinnati are children, and heartbreakingly, so many of the perpetrators themselves are children. Gun violence has evolved. It's no longer just entirely concentrated around the drug trade. Because our state legislature in Ohio has such lax gun laws, including arming teachers, stand your ground, and getting rid of the training for a concealed carry permit, there are now more guns than people in Cincinnati. It's completely out of control. It's an arms race. People don't feel safe unless they have a gun themselves. To combat that, we have passed legislation that prevents domestic violence perpetrators from owning a gun. And if you own a gun and don't lock it properly, the city of Cincinnati will now hold you accountable. We have to get our arms. We have to get our arms around sensible gun laws in order to protect our constitutional right, but also acknowledge the realities on the ground, which is that these gun laws are creating more supply of guns and, as a result, more gun violence. There's no doubt that we also have a mental health crisis at the same time. There's no doubt about that. I'm really proud of the fact that Cincinnati is one of the few cities in the country that now send unarmed mental health professionals to some 911 calls. Look, that not only saves police officers time because they're now no longer a taxi, right? So they can focus on stopping violent crime, but it's also incredibly effective of getting people who need help directly to the services in order to put them on a path of recovery. I've worked in both the private sector and the public sector. And the stereotype of the public sector is that it's a bunch of lazy people who are doing the bare minimum and are really not hard workers or very talented. That couldn't be further from the truth. The people that I've met who work at the city are extraordinarily talented. They're extraordinary patriots and public servants. But here's the problem with the public sector. It's incredibly risk intolerant. When I was at Procter & Gamble and I would tell a marketer, okay, you've got a 45% chance of getting sued for this claim, they would say, great, let's go do it, right? Because in the private sector, you're either innovating, you're pushing the envelope, or you're dying, right? You're behind the times. In the public sector, it's just the opposite. The bias is to maintain the status quo. The bias is not to change, because any change invites scrutiny and criticism. And talk about failure. Failure is not an option. So people get very, very risk averse. And that's hard. It's impossible for a city to innovate if you don't allow for failure. What I'm really proud of is in Cincinnati, we are taking risks. We are pushing the envelope. Cincinnati is home to the largest city-led solar farm in the country. Cincinnati just invested in a pilot program for guaranteed basic income. Cincinnati just passed a baby bond program so that all of our preschool students not only have access to high-quality preschool, but they now have a savings account in their name that the city is investing in, because 60% of kids with a retirement account ultimately go to college. And Cincinnati is also making a $1.3 million investment to wipe out medical debt for 30,000 Cincinnati residents, because debt is a huge obstacle to wealth generation. If we can do these things, if we can grow equitably while also investing in innovative solutions to lift people out of poverty, if we can harness the impact of climate change in order to increase our economic development, and if we can be safe, then there's no telling what Cincinnati and Louisville can achieve together. I know it seems daunting. I know it seems intimidating, but consider this. The United States of America is an idea. It's just an idea that has lit the world for over 100 years. That's the greatness of this country. And I know with the toxicity and the partisanship at the national level, it can be easy to lose sight of that. But I'm living proof of the greatness of the United States. Because in one generation, my family went from being refugees to now the mayor of Cincinnati. I mean, my mom was basically born in a tent on the side of a mountain. And in one generation, I'm mayor of a major American city. Folks, that story, that story only happens right here in this country. It's on all of us to preserve that dream for the next generation. Thank you, Louisville. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, AFTAB, for those really inspirational remarks. I know we all are going to leave hungry for action as a result of this. We've just got a few minutes left, but I just wanted to follow up with a few questions that might be on some other minds of some of the folks here as well today. You mentioned gun violence, of course, which both of us talked about. Both of our cities are dealing with that challenge. And for those in this audience that were like me and saying, I wish we could do some of those things that you all are doing in Cincinnati with locking guns up and the other initiatives that you mentioned, everyone here should know, not only do I 100% agree, but our current state laws would say that's illegal. Not just say that's illegal, but make any of us elected officials that were trying to put those laws into place a criminal. That's how bad our state gun laws are. So we're working to change those, but we're also focused on things that we can do legally. And when we think about long-term solutions, one of them you also mentioned, we both mentioned, and that's universal pre-K. I know that Cincinnati has a program already in place that is providing preschool opportunities to more people in Cincinnati. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that's working, and so that we can learn as we try to make universal pre-K a reality here in Louisville?
Yeah, universal pre-K is one of those investments that have profound impacts on the future of your city, because it's investing in the personification of the future of your city, and that's kids. Studies find that when kids have a good quality preschool and enter kindergarten from that, they're 85% more likely to be at reading level abilities by the third grade. Conversely, if they don't have access to good quality preschool, their reading ability drops to 42% by the third grade. That is a stark data point, but it really illustrates how important investments at children's lives, particularly when they're very young, is so critically important. So in order to do that, we put together a public-private partnership between our big corporations and our nonprofits to put on a property tax that would fund the preschool promise, is what we call it. It passed by a record margin. It creates $15 million a year to provide tuition assistance for families who can't afford preschool, to provide training so that current preschools can step up their quality through Preschool Promise, and maybe even most importantly, provide income support for preschool educators who are often disproportionately, frankly, black women who are running these programs. And the pandemic has had a profoundly negative impact, particularly on preschool providers. And so we use some of our ARP money to support Preschool Promise, specifically for the pipeline of educators who need more salary assistance. And the results are incredible. We have had 3,000 families positively impacted by Preschool Promise. We've increased the quality of 200 preschool providers throughout our city. And it is a perfect example of how powerful public-private partnerships are in cities. I mean, there's no city in the country that is a partisan, right? You have to be pragmatic when you're mayor. You get to be pragmatic, and that means bringing everyone, convening everyone to the table and saying, together we can do great big things, we just have to work together. That's been the secret sauce in Cincinnati.
Well, that's great. I know many folks here from both the public and private sector are working with our administration on making that a reality. That's inspirational. We look forward. I think we've got a team coming up to visit you guys soon, so we're excited to do that. There's a whole lot else to cover.
So you've been mayor for a year?
Not even, a whopping 8 months.
8 months, okay.
Yes,
what do you think?
It is, I love waking up every day. It is without a doubt, I was actually going to ask you about that because you were talking about you were intimidated and all of that when you started, but it is without a doubt the most challenging thing I have ever done, but it's also without a doubt the most rewarding thing I have ever done in my life. And I love being mayor. I love waking up every day, whether it's challenges or just because I know when you see a room like this and you know that there are 1,200 people who want to make the city better, that are looking for ways to partner with organizations and the government to accomplish this long list of goals, that keeps me going and keeps driving.
It's
so
exciting. I mean, it's awesome, right? I mean, when you're mayor, I talked about this a little bit, but you're the moral voice of your city. When something good happens, people look to you to understand how to react. When something terrible happens, people look to you. It's really unique in our government in that it's not about spinning or obfuscating. It's a true test of leadership. And getting to be mayor is, particularly in this time, is just so much fun. I've got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, so I'm constantly tired. But it's not lost on me that this is the most important thing that I'll ever do, being mayor and having small kids, and I absolutely love it. And by the way, it's a lot easier when the sports teams are winning. My approval ratings are directly, directly tied to the sports teams.
So let's talk for a second. We're running out of time here, but let's talk. You mentioned coming last year for the Kentucky Derby.
Yes.
This year, we've got the 150th anniversary of the Kentucky Derby that I know all of us are here so excited for. You're bragging about your professional sports teams. I know the Reds are in the playoff hunts. The Bengals, like the beginning of every season, saying you're good enough to make the Super Bowl. Now you had Messi in town a couple of days ago.
And Taylor Swift, although you got Beyonce.
We had Beyonce, right. FC Cincinnati is at the top of their league. So here's my question.
Yeah, all right, here we go.
We have an amazing sporting event here in Louisville every year, the week before Derby, known as the Great Steamboat Race. And the Belle of Louisville races against the Belle of Cincinnati. So here's my question to you, Mayor.
All right.
Why does the Belle of Cincinnati cheat every year? I want to go to the film right
here.
Let's take a quick
Taylor
look.
the tape.
Join me for the presentation of the antlers. I guess we could go ahead and make that announcement.
Hold on. Wait 1 second, Matt. Hold on. For those who are out of town, I am the new mayor of Louisville. And in my briefing of my first day when I took office, my colleagues from the Louisville Intelligence Agency had something to tell me. And one of the things they said is that the Belle of Cincinnati is known for cheating. So here's my question. We went on to deliver all of the proof, and it didn't even work.
You went on to deliver all the proof. Didn't have time to show the
question,
proof.
Mayor. Here's my question. I know you were so inspirational today. Everyone in this room knows you're an honorable person. Will you come back for a 4th time this year for the Great Steamboat Race to ensure that the Belle of Cincinnati follows the rules and we have a fair and square steamboat race before our Kentucky Derby?
What rules did we break? What are you talking about?
All sorts of rules.
Which ones?
The same rules that apply to professional wrestling at OVW. It's a very, very detailed list of rules that I'll encourage you with.
Look, given my recent history, I'm not going to talk any shit, but I will just say...
For those of you who don't know, a person that you might have heard of called Patrick Mahomes and the mayor had a little Twitter war, if you will.
Well, I think I was demolished. Not sure there was a war. But anyway, yes, I will come. I will root for the Belle of Cincinnati. But how about this? The loser has to jump in the Ohio River. What do you think? Let's make it real.
You're on.
Thank you so much
for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, so I do get one last question though, and it's very important. I want you to teach us some leadership skills, and I like to call these skills power moves. And I also am going to get a little visual aid to see if we can get a little bit of... Okay, so I'm pretty sure we now know why.
I didn't realize, I didn't realize I was coming to Louisville to get roasted. This is great. This is great. Thank you.
I think this is why they call him Mayor Aftabulous.
That's it.
It's better than pure evil, that's for sure.
Thanks.
Okay, so thank you both. We really, really appreciate you being here. And we very much appreciate all of you all for your commitment to this community. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all you do to elevate this community. Thank you for all you do to help the Leadership Louisville Center. We're so grateful to have you as friends and as colleagues. And until the next time we see each other, I cannot wait to see what you all will do when you show up hungry. So please go out and do something big. And on your way out, make sure if you see one of my team on the Leadership Louisville Center, please tell them that they're awesome and they rock, because they truly do. Thank you so much, and please come back and hang out with us again soon.